Welcome to this webinar from IONOS, how the cloud and desktop virtualization can transform your business. IONOS offers professional services and cloud consulting to create a tailored architecture model for cloud installations and a proven point of contact for SMBs and mid-market customers. Partnering with IONOS ensures your small business can take advantage of the latest cloud services to enable your company to innovate at speed. Well, today I'm delighted to be joined by three guests. The first is Mark Hogan, the head of US Cloud at IONOS. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you.
The second guest is Seth Helgeson, the solutions architect, also at IONOS Cloud. Welcome, Seth.
Thank you, David.
And the final guest is Leo Laurencio, the chief sales officer for Cybele Software. Welcome, Leo.
Thank you.
Now, this webinar just cover a lot of ground. We are looking at certainly VDI in a lot of detail. We're also looking at that within the context of small business. We're also in the context of cloud services, as those two certainly have a symbiotic relationship. What I'd like to do first is basically hand over to Mark to give us a little bit of background on IONOS, some of its cloud services. And before we get into sort of, I guess, the meat of this comversation with Leo, where we're going to be talking about desktop virtualization in quite a lot of detail. So, Mark, if you'd like to share your screen, we can have a sort of brief overview of, IONOS Cloud, what that means, what your core offering for small businesses actually is, before we sort of get into more detail about VDI.
Sure, absolutely. Just let me get her up and running. Tell me when you can see us. Are we good to go there?
Let's hope the tech gods are working in our favor, and they absolutely are. So we can see your first screen, the premier cloud platform for SMBs. So IONOS, I think it'd be a good idea for you to give us a bit of background, who IONOS is, what you guys do, and I guess why you're a good fit for SMBs, because I think the history of IONOS really just shouts small business. It certainly does for me. I've worked with the businesses and also been a customer for decades, especially in the UK. But of course now in the US, you guys are sort of going big guns for small businesses, because I think you certainly have a core of, I guess, small business understanding. I feel that IONOS is an absolutely good fit for small businesses. If you're watching this and you are a small enterprise and you're looking for cloud services, looking to, I guess, embrace what virtualization can do for you, I think IONOS is a great fit.
Yeah, absolutely, David. I appreciate it. So first, spot on. Our focus here in the States is definitely at the SMBs, the small and medium businesses. Also, please understand that we do address mid-market needs as well as the small enterprise needs. But for the purposes of this discussion, what we really want to hone in on is why is IONOS the premier cloud platform for SMBs? And really, it hits on three pillars. My teammate here, Seth, is constantly working with our clients from a technical perspective and helping them understand, how easily deployable our infrastructure is,
Indeed.
How transparent we are from a cost and utilization perspective, and the flexibility and security that we bring to the table for our clients. So those are really the three tenets and pillars that we hit on, and how and why we focus on the SMB community.
Indeed.
As we speak about who IONOS is in general, we are a global provider. You could see that we are headquartered in Germany and Europe, but for the purposes of these discussions, we really want to hone in on our North and South American capabilities. Mm-hmm. We have a data center presence in Las Vegas and Kansas City, as well as Newark, New Jersey, but our corporate headquarters is located in Philadelphia. Uh-huh. And you could see we have an additional 28 or 29 data centers located throughout the European regions, and going as far east as Cebu with some of our operations teams as well. These collective resources are managing over 22 million domains. We have 6 million customers worldwide, and really managing and supporting greater than 100,000 servers in totality. So a very large, expansive footprint by which we support our customer base from. What I really want to drill down into, though, to give everyone a sense for, what's the moral fabric of IONOS. Mm. the first thing you'll see, David and team, is we have a wide range of services. Everything from our legacy and heritage of our domains and hosting, all the way up through our infrastructure as a service, and we'll get into that in specificity in a minute. But we deliver these services most importantly with emphasis on compliance. Being the European cloud provider of choice, we are very honed in on our sovereign cloud, as well as being GDPR compliant. We also follow all of your ISO and IT baselines from a data protection and security perspective. So your workloads are hardened and secure in our platform. We pride ourselves on our focus on sustainability. Indeed. We have a carbon neutral footprint where and when possible. All of our data centers operate on clean, renewable energy. So we take that very serious, and we're very prideful of that. And that's something we've developed over our 25 years of business. When we speak about taking those 25 years and bringing them forward to our customers, constituencies, and partners, what we really, I guess, pride ourselves on is the amount of engagement that we bring forward. And that engagement is felt both from a reactive perspective as well as a proactive perspective. And this is really how we believe we differentiate ourselves from the hyperscalers and really focus in on the mid-market, because we understand and we know that a lot of the SMBs don't have accesses to the resources that are needed to, let's say, navigate some of these complex environments. Indeed. And my teammate here, Seth, can probably speak on behalf of hours, thousands, countless hours where he's engaged directly with our clients to help them understand what are the technical capabilities that are going to support their businesses. But first, we drive that engagement on understanding what outcomes are they looking to drive from a business perspective. Yep. And then Seth and team will help the team, understand what technologies and what IONOS services can help them drive those outcomes. And then on the second piece of this, there's a 24/7 support, both admin and sysops support that they have access to. So
I find that's very interesting, isn't it? Absolutely. I mean, for you, Seth, is that often the initial conversation that a small business, they've looked at hyperscalers, etc. The complexity is literally beyond them. They want something that is, I don't want to use the word simplified because that's not true. They want something that is bespoke for them. They want something that is personalized. They want something that is built for them with a company that understands, I guess, what their end goal is. So when it comes to infrastructure, Seth, is that often the first conversation? They are asking those kinds of questions that we kind of know where we want to get to. We have an end goal. How do we get there, Seth? And how do we build the stuff? And have you got the tools and the infrastructure to help us get there?
Yeah, I think. Ooh, knew that was going to happen. We'll cut that out. David, I think simplified is actually, I don't have a problem using that term at all.
Okay.
Having a simplified environment, I think, is a very important thing, so that, from a technical standpoint, more and more small businesses want to be able to adopt the functionality that these larger cloud providers can offer. The redundancy, the recoverability, all of those features that a small business, doesn't have the resources to do on their own. But it's very daunting to put a lot of those products and services into place with any provider.
Indeed.
So I think bringing a simplified environment is actually very important for SMBs to be able to say, look, as a small business, I need to build on top of a redundant environment that is, I'm not going to have to worry about. I can put it into place, and IONOS is covering that end of things. So I think simplified works very well. That said, we try to provide a tool set also where, a company can grow with us, where starting simply, get your proof of concept up and running, get your infrastructure up and running in our simplified environment. But when you move into more of these advanced concepts like a DevOps or a CI/CD type of pipeline, we have those tool sets ready for you to come on board and be able to use.
Well, that's a perfect segue, Seth, because when we look at what our focus is, here in the States for IONOS. It's really enabling that multi-cloud strategy. And to your point, it's taking those concepts of the infrastructure, the network services, and various infrastructure tools to help interconnect all of those resources. And that's what we look to enable.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I really like, and sort of the reason that we're here together today, is with any provider, any infrastructure provider, any hyperscaler, the infrastructure and the services have become more and more complex, and there's no way for any one company or individual to be an expert in all of those fields. And what we really like to do is bring those best in breed services and companies that are building and growing with us, like Cybele from a virtual desktop infrastructure standpoint, to be able to say, okay, look, I can't be everything to you from a VDI standpoint, but we have a large partner network that we work with that bring these best in breed services with them.
I think ultimately, as you say, simplicity, absolutely. I think the thing to get across is simplicity does not mean limitation. That's not what this is about. Don't think that because a system is maybe simple to implement, simple to manage, simple to make bespoke changes for yourself. That does not mean it's limitation. It does not have limits. It just means that IONOS has thought about that. What does the end user want to try and get from these systems? Let's look at how can we simplify this so it gets across to the end user. You can actually achieve what you want to achieve without all of the complexity, which maybe some others in the marketplace may have you jump through, because there are a lot of hoops to jump through with sort of maybe the larger businesses, which clearly small businesses do not want to have to contend with.
Well, you're absolutely right, David. And our position is pretty simple. When you think about all of the constructs and let's say tooling that's needed, for example, we have our infrastructure services. And then from there, you can think about, okay, what about our data services? There are database services, our backup capabilities, our storage capabilities. You can kind of start to separate that typical 3-tier architecture, your infrastructure, your data, your web apps. But then from there, you got to also think about, from a platform perspective, what are the tools that are being used to integrate all of these, bespoke systems, as you mentioned before. And what we at IONOS believe is we could provide, and what we do provide, and what our customers experience, is a very simple, easily deployable infrastructure and graphical user interface where they can actually distribute their infrastructure in a way that is not only consumable, but it's also observable. And from there, we have the tooling to help address the data services from a database and a backup and object storage and all those tools that are needed as well. But then taking it from a platform perspective and then leveraging other tools through our partner community, because they're the experts in their domains, leveraging their assets and those tools through our infrastructure, through our open APIs, SDKs, and various capabilities to now extend that out into the usable and consumable format for them to actually support their workloads. And we do this in a way where we're driving it through engagement. It's not just here you go, here's a set it and forget it type of asset. We try and understand what are they looking to accomplish and what aspects of our tooling can help them accomplish it. And then what partner can we bring in to satisfy very specific needs like Cybele and virtual desktop integration, overlaying on our infrastructure.
Well, I think that's a great sort of segue into, I guess, looking more in the detail of that. I think a lot of businesses are trying to absolutely simplify their tech stack. Absolutely, I see that a lot. Let's collapse this down to something more manageable as it expanded because of COVID, etc. Let's look at simplification. Let's look at what we can do, I guess, with less. But let's leverage the kind of services that are, I guess, built for us. And I think that's the point. It's built for us. We're not just buying some black box off a shelf. These systems are built for you. Now, I'd like to, as I said, there's a second presentation for us today from Leo, the Chief Sales Officer for Cybele Software. We're going to go into more detail about that. How you, I guess, take I guess, initial cloud services, how do you then make that, I guess, give yourself a usable interface? Because that's kind of what we're talking about. How can you, I guess, create a desktop as a service? I guess that's what it kind of is, and how you can do that with your IT. So I'd like to get to Leo to share his screen, as you've been waiting there very patiently, Leo. Thanks for that. While we've been talking about IONOS, we'd like to sort of switch over to your screen, and we can kind of start talking about, I guess, the detail. Thanks for Mark for setting the scene for us. But now let's have a look at, I guess, the detail on that. I think a lot of people listening to this and watching us today will say, yeah, fine, we can buy cloud services. We want to do some kind of virtualization. How do the two link together? Where's that glue? And I think for you, Lee, I think what you guys are doing with Cybele software, that's kind of the glue. It's kind of what you guys are doing very, very well. So I'd like to sort of hand over to you to kick off your presentation.
Okay, I think I'm already sharing my screen. Thank you, David.
You are indeed.
Pressing the mic. Well, based on what the guys just said, right? Like our technology approach is also always customer and user orientated, right? We prioritize simplification in terms of management, but also without leaving on the side scalability, right, and flexibility. That's why we build what we call Infinity DaaS, right, powered by IONOS, which is basically, in our words, a more efficient and flexible approach to desktop virtualization. Before going there, I'll give you a bit of background about Cybele software. We have been in the market for the past 20 years, doing mostly zero trust, network access, remote access, and traditional VDI solutions. In the past 5 years, we moved a bit of our offering to our multi-cloud deployments, right? So our solution is started being cloud agnostic solution, so it runs on every platform. And this year we started engaging with IONOS. And to give you a bit of background, we have global presence. We have over 5,000 customers worldwide, from enterprises to MSPs, mid-segment, SMBs. Our solution is really flexible and really easy to deploy and scale. Our main advantage on the software is that it's simple to leverage. It doesn't have any heavy lifting, right? That allows you to create easy and quick go-to-market solution that can be leveraged simply, right?
There's that word again. Yeah.
That's where we found a really good fit and really good synergy with IONOS. By partnering with them, we have managed to build a cloud VDI solution, right? That has basically 3 main pillars, and that for us I think is crucial for business success, both SMBs, mixed segment, and also for MSPs. The solution is a centralized solution, right? It's built on top of zero trust. So a lot of SMBs has this fear about moving infrastructure to the cloud because of security and because of all the increase in the surface attack and the internet footprint that their business will have, maybe because they don't have the resources or the knowledge to understand how to manage it. Our solution is built in zero trust by default, right? So it doesn't increase the surface attack and it's entirely secure. The second one is a really easy to manage solution. Basically, you can manage all of your resources, cloud and off cloud, from a single pane of glass, right? So it doesn't leverage that much IT overhead in your team, right? It's extremely easy to manage. And the third one is completely scalable and automated, right? So you can start with a really simple deployment for an SMB, I don't know, 5, 10 users, and then scale it up to, I don't know, 12,000, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's something that is always core to these services, isn't it? Particularly, I guess you have those conversations a lot, Mark, and you said that a business will say, we're this size, we have a roadmap here for development. Are you guys going to be flexible? Can you grow with us? And absolutely, that's why this stuff is cloud-based, because it is infinite. We can grow with you at whatever speed you need.
Yeah,
I think that's why we align so well with IONOS. Sorry, kids.
Yeah. No, absolutely. What I was going to mention was when Seth and Leo started discussing our partnership, the one area of focus that we wanted to speak on behalf of was, okay, working with the SMBs, being simple enough and easily deployable.
Yep.
For the small businesses to be able to grow from.
Yep.
Because no business wants to maintain the same size. Maybe they want to reduce costs, but they're all leveraging this automation and our tools to grow their business and increase capacity and increase the need for additional resources, which both of our platforms collectively together have the ability to do and help support.
I like that. I like the idea of a single pane of glass as well. I like the idea that you can gather resources together and be able to see them. I think a lot of businesses were sort of they struggle with that. They struggle to see the elements of their business. They struggle to put in place management solutions where they can see everything. After all, if you can't see it, you can't manage it. If you can't see it, you can't innovate. I really like that idea that it is literally all in front of you. I guess for you, Leo, when you're building these systems, that's kind of what you're trying to do, aren't you? Taking the elements from a business and say, okay, how can we put that into a single pane of glass? And then you guys can then manage that. It's within a cloud-based solution. And of course, then that can grow as you grow. Come back to us when you need more functionality. We can build that in, but you still have that single pane.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the primary approach, mostly for SMBs, which maybe they have sometimes the lack of IT management, and also for MSPs, right, when they're handling multiple customers and they need a simple way to reduce support calls, right, and provide more agile and more efficient solution to their customers.
Indeed.
So that's kind of like has always been our approach, right? The idea is give them total overview from the virtual machine provisioning, right, on the IONOS data center until the remote access on the end user side, right? Like you have an end-to-end control on how this infrastructure is deployed and scale.
Excellent.
Right? It's kind of like the idea. Everything is, well, we were just discussing it, everything is just built into the solution, so you don't need to leverage any extra workloads on your end in order to get it up and running, right? It can be up and running in less than a couple of hours. Wow. That's kind of like the idea. It's an out-of-the-box solution. So the solution is basically clientless by default. That's how it was born, to Infinity. So basically on the end user side, you basically need just a web browser. This gives all the users any device compatibility, right? Over the years, Cybele has been working on enhancing the remote desktop sessions on virtual machines, right? And we have optimized every user interface with external devices like printing, scanning from the remote machine. All the user actions like drag and drop files, having multi-monitor on your end user side, or even supporting real-time video and audio conferences without leaving the virtual desktops. Those are all things that we have been improving over the years. So now it's one of the most complete solutions in terms of user experience. And of course, leveraging the IONOS data centers and the Infinity architecture, it provides access from anywhere, right? Secure access from anywhere you are to those resources.
Yeah, I think that's a thing to get across. I mean, I write on my pad agnostic, and it's absolutely true, isn't it? Your system is completely agnostic. Doesn't matter what you're running, you need a web browser and you're away. You can set this thing up in a couple of hours without any issues. I think the point, particularly with this side, of course, is as well with, I guess from the data center point of view, we're not talking lock-in here, are we? We're not talking any kind of restriction. That's not what this is about. The whole idea, in fact, is the opposite, is to create infrastructure which is not a lock-in, infrastructure which is flexible and will grow with your business. That's the whole idea behind all of this.
Exactly. That's the whole goal, right? Like you can start small with just one single workflow that creates problems and then grow as much as
you go. Yeah.
And then the other item, which is really important, our solution kind of like replace or fully replace the VPNs, the traditional VPNs, which, as you know, over the pandemics has become a point of vulnerability, right, for ransomware attacks and things like that. Our solution is completely the opposite. It allows you to access resources on the hybrid cloud, right? So you can still interact from your VDI hosted in IONOS to your data center or office resources on premises, but it takes away the need of a VPN or even installing a client, right, on the end user machine. This reduces a lot the surface attack, but still gives you a fluent user experience without much leverage. Right?
With you,
Everything is
yeah,
controlled.
because that's also true for IONOS, isn't it, Mark and Seth? That one of your key pillars is that the whole system is transparent. You can see exactly what you're trying to do. The infrastructure is built. There's nothing hidden away. There's none of that. It's a case of we will build this system. It's completely transparent. You tell us what you need to for your end goal. We can build that infrastructure. And if it needs to have some kind of VDI components, then this system is perfect. Getting away from VPNs, I think, is a massive step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. The transparency is one of the most important pieces across the board for any business.
Yeah.
You can't do business if you don't know where your costs are and where they lie.
Indeed.
And from our standpoint, we are constantly trying to find ways to deliver that information, that usage information, to our end customers, quite simply through a cost and usage tab, but more importantly through, again, all of the additional tool sets that we have to get your utilization, so businesses can know what they are spending all of the time. The other piece of that is also having the simple billing model that we maintain. We're not doing burstable type instances or overage type of instances where you can run them to a certain point, and then after that you have to pay through the nose for everything that you're doing. Everything that we quote is more or less a flat rate. This is what you're going to pay, down to the minute per minute, out to a monthly invoice estimate. And with that, especially the way that most of our partners build things, including Cybele with Infinity, is that the environment is built out for you. Quite often, Cybele will come in, build out the environment for you within your IONOS framework.
I'm with you.
You still maintain full access to that framework, so that you can see, okay, this is how much I'm paying every month, but you're granting access to partners as you deem fit, so that they can come in and, like Cybele, build what they need to, and then either turn on or turn off access from there.
Absolutely. And I think that's your next slide, isn't it, Leo? You're going to talk about sort of efficiency with VDI, because efficiencies, it's a big word these days for small businesses. Let's be as efficient as we possibly can. But building these kind of systems kind of gets you along that road. It really does.
Kind of like that's the whole idea, right? Like as Mark was saying, like IONOS has something really cool, which is a simplified billing system, but also a simple interface for the users. And the best part, it can be integrated and managed by APIs, or in our case by Infinity, right? So this allows you to build an integrated managed service, both if you're an SMB or if you're an MSP. Have a streamlined deployment, right? It can be built, as Mark was saying, like less than a couple of hours, right? And then you get full control, either if you're an MSP, you can control everything for your customer, or if you're an SMB, you can allow us to do it, or bring your MSP, or bring your own, or do your own internal management, right? So it gives you a whole end-to-end control. And basically what we did with IONOS, we have been working on this development, is an integrated solution. We basically take, for everyone that kind of like have been working with terminal servers or with virtual desktops on premises, we basically take all the roles that you already know, right? Your broker, your web access, your analytics, diagnostics, everything that you have to maintain usually on-prem in your data center, right? And we simplify that and make it run as services on the Infinity in the IONOS cloud, right? So it's basically simplifying all the roles that you used to have when you needed to leverage a VDI environment, make it in a simpler way with more manageable components, right? More simple components than the traditional ones, and allows you to get an end-to-end overview that at the end of the day allows you to deploy faster, be more efficient, and have more control over your virtual environment.
Sure, with you, yeah.